The sales call. This is where the magic happens in any buyer's journey. When it goes right, a sales call qualifies your buyer, it drives enthusiasm, and it sets the final deal in motion. But if it's done wrong, it can eliminate trust, tarnish your brand, and send leads headed for the hills permanently. Whether you realize it or not, there's a lot riding on your sales calls, and if you don't come to the table with a strategic pre-call plan, then you might be setting yourself up for failure. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. In this video, we're going to break down our proven 5-step pre-call plan so you can build your own and implement it yourself. Step 1, the buyer review, where you can put your research skills to work. Step 2, the catch up so that you can get back up to speed. Step 3, setting your sales call goals, and one trick that I personally use on every single call I make with a prospect. Step 4, objections, and why this step separates the pros from the amateurs. And then step 5, we're going to look at the support materials that you need to get deals done. Now we're going to cover each of these in detail in this video, and that means we've got plenty to cover, so let's jump right into it. So when we're working with sales professionals in the community over at Selling Made Simple Academy, the salespeople who love to do their sales calls tend to do more pre-call preparation than the individuals who hate being on the phone. The good news is that this pre-call preparation can be done in just a couple of minutes before you pick up the phone or Zoom call or however you're communicating with your prospects. So if you want to find yourself much more relaxed, focused and effective on your next sales call, then let's start building your pre-call sales plan. Step 1 is conducting a brief yet thorough buyer review. So before picking up the phone, give yourself a few minutes to open your CRM and LinkedIn and read up on the person that you're going to be speaking to. Now, you don't have to go crazy with the details here. You've got to get just enough information to inform the rest of your research and planning in this process. Try and answer these questions before you move through to the rest of your pre-call planning. When was the last time you spoke to the individual? What has changed in their world this month? Are they qualified to do business with you? Next is the catch-up, where you should have a couple of questions in your mind to bring everyone who's involved in the conversation up to speed so that you're all at the same point of the sales process. Have these questions lined up before dialing so that you're ready when you engage with the prospect. Your questions could sound something like, are you still in the market to change X in your business right now? We've just made X change with our product. Do you think it could solve Y problem on your end? Is it fair to say that X is whatever it is we're trying to prove in the meeting? I like to jot down these catch-up questions before each call, so I've got a firm starting point for every conversation that I have. Next, we've got goals, because you're not going to close a sale on every single phone call that you have with a buyer. But it is important to always have a goal for the call that pushes the buyer forward today towards that close. And when you start with the end in mind, you're going to naturally nudge the prospect down your sales path, even if you're not doing it consciously. All it takes to close the agreement on what the next call's goal is to say something along the lines of, okay, on our next call, does it make sense to cover X? If they say yes, then you've got a clear goal for your next conversation. If they say no, which is absolutely fine, then you can say what agenda for next week's call would make sense. You can allow them to coach you on what they want to cover in the next call, and as long as it aligns with them moving along your sales process, everyone's happy. Again, this is a super simple step, but it's incredibly important. Step 4 is all about doing your objections homework ahead of time, because one of the traits of high-performing salespeople that we've uncovered with our research over at salesman.org is that high performers are optimists. None of this is rocket science, right? If you watching this right now, if you never think that anyone is ever going to close because you're a massive pessimist, then you're not going to put in the effort to get the deal done. And this leads to a vicious cycle of a lack of personal belief, getting zeros done, which feeds back into less deals done, which leads into a lack of personal belief. So, most high-performing salespeople are optimistic about the outcomes of their selling conversations. With that said, we don't want to become blinded to any clear objections that might come up in our conversations. And if you've been selling your solution for a while now, you might know the best responses to these objections already. But if you're new to the industry or you get unsettled when a prospect throws an objection at you, it's worth doing some studying ahead of time. Write the objections you think might come your way, and then also list down a rebuttal underneath them of how you can deal with it in the moment. Even if you don't read from the page with your rebuttal word for word when the objections come up in the conversation, just writing them out allows your subconscious to be ahead of time in its processing, and you're going to get through them a lot more smoothly and easily. An additional bonus tip for you here, if you're new in sales or you're new to your industry or the product that you're selling, keep an objection journal. An objection journal is just a quick, simple, basic notepad where you write down any new objections that come up in your conversation. Then you can group them together, because typically there's only 4 or 5 objections that you're going to face over and over and over, even if they're worded differently each time. Then you can spend a morning coming up with a rebuttal for each one of them, and you'll deal with objections way more smoothly. And finally, in your pre-call planning, you should pull together any information or materials that can make your call run more smoothly. Nothing ruins trust in a conversation or makes you look more amateur than having to fill 3 minutes of awkward silence on the phone as you try and find that piece of paper that you need from your messy work bag to give the prospect data that they asked for. Case studies, product catalogs, testimonials, use cases, whatever it is. Anything that you think you might need for this sales call, get it together ahead of time. And bonus points here if you're using either an overpriced and over-engineered piece of sales enablement tool, or if you get all of your documents online and in Google Drive, which is what I do, so they're all searchable and clickable in an instant. So there you go. All it takes is coming prepared to each one of your sales calls with a thought out strategic plan to have higher levels of success on them. The 5 steps are to 1, review, 2, catch up, 3, set goals, 4, objections, and then 5, come up with your support materials. And if you do all of that, your sales calls are guaranteed to be infinitely less stressful and more successful. Which is what I care about, right? I want you to get more money in your bank account via your sales commissions each and every quarter. Well, there we go. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.